Welcome everyone, Dr. Thor here. Get ready for Gnosis. Well, I want to show another book here. I've shown many of them that I'm trying to let people know what's out there for those that want to go through the time and trouble. And they're a way of, from what I understand, you can scan a book like this and then have it translated automatically through certain processes. I'm looking into that, but there are a lot of books on radionics coming in the Italian language, and this is kind of interesting. And I don't really see, other than English, there's hardly any books on radionics at all, except it seems like in terms of recent years, the Italian language has been a great boost in the radionic area. And I do kind of like their combination of mysticism and science. And certainly the Italians have always been the forward-thinking, the ahead thinkers, designers. When you really get down to it, the entire world is based on what is considered the Italian or Roman systems, who basically civilized the world. It wasn't without the Roman civilizations, we would have nothing. When the Romans pulled out of Europe, back to their particularly country of Italy, it took 200 years for Europe to get back into step again. They lost all the tech. They really built nothing because of the primitive problems and, of course, the Asiatic, Middle Eastern thinking that is prevalent within the continent of Europe, particularly Central Europe, with the Arabic nations that have habited that, the Austrians, the Germans, etc. Well, these are Arabs, and everyone needs to understand that. Well, it was the Greeks and the Romans who were the people that brought all civilization and technically are the Caucasians. But we won't get into that right now. But you don't see much coming out of any other country. There seems to be a fair interest in Mexico to some degree, but nothing has really come out of Mexico that I'm familiar with. There's a few very cheaply made garbage products that you'll find coming out of Mexico and some of these Latin American countries. But, you don't get much from these countries, period. I have been told that there's a fair amount of books in the Portuguese from Brazil, and that Brazil has a certain amount of books that seem to be great interest in radionics. I just don't know. Nothing really comes out of there in terms of technology. These people tend to follow the British system of radionics, who has been very popular over the years, particularly with those that can afford it. The alternative doctors in Central and South America have been getting involved in Bruce Copeland equipment, which really just shows their ignorance, not their superiority. But they look like medical instruments, so people buy them, yet their effectiveness is pretty poor, like all of this technology. But if you spend $15,000 for something, it's official, it's good. So we don't see a lot of that. And of course, I believe there's a manufacturer or two of certain types of instruments out of Italy, but most people don't manufacture these things. It is a small market, and you won't run into it. I'm really surprised how little comes out of most of Europe in terms of the manufacturing of anything in general. And specifically in alternative tech, there's really very little that comes out. And what does come out is really garbage. So, but this is typical of the very low mentality thinkers from Western Europe in particular, because of their Asiatic, Arabic thinking. So we run into that. So this is an interesting book. Now, this book from Giorgio Piccati, Radionics, practical, 84 different practical circuits that you can use. And he's got a system that is kind of interesting, again, playing off of the Malcolm Ray designs, which I have absolutely no belief in or faith in whatsoever. His kind of silly little designs that really are so silly, just like the paper doctor. There's nothing there. They're too simplistic. In this day and age, we need much more complicated designs, etc. Now, this author, of course, has used, as you can see on the cover here, this is kind of a semi-pseudo design. He's got this could be a circle, he's got the lines around it, so he's using that concept. And of course, that goes back to ancient times. If you see any kind of sigils that were made in the grimoires and everything else, you'll see that they had circles around them. And of course, you do that to contain the energy. Just common sense. Malcolm Ray copied this, and we just don't know really what happened with any of this. We have no idea what works or doesn't work because none of it is recorded properly. You have a bunch of people that like to live in illusions and think something is going on when it's not. I don't know. Let's see here. So this was originally published. I'm not sure. You should be able to get these on places like ABE, etc., to look up the manufacturers of these books today. But this was originally printed. Here we go. Where is that? 2012. So this is already 12 years old. I believe that's the press down there. So 2012. This came out. Apparently, I don't know if this is the publisher's email or the author. But if you're interested, you certainly can try those. Let's see if there is a publisher on the back here. But again, this is in Italian, so I mean, you can go through and do some, and there are tools you can get inexpensively. You can scan across, and I will be demonstrating these. You scan across, and it tells you what that means. You can go by sentences or paragraphs. So there's ways of doing this in small ways to get the information you need. As I mentioned, there's also a way of actually translating bulk text. These are all ways of doing things that you can get out there. Now, let's go to his system because there's 84 circuits in here, what we would call rate things. Now, we can start off here. These are pendulum charts. Again, you don't really need this kind of stuff. You can get these in English. There's nothing special about these. I'm just showing it to you. But, you know, this is the kind of stuff you use with radionics and pendulums. To ways of doing things. I'm going to show you how to get rates without having a machine. Here's your alphabet, numbers, and so forth. And that's your typical dowsing. And of course, you know, radionics and dowsing are all the same thing when you get down to it because you have to be proficient at that to use most machines. Looks like some more pendulum charts here. Energies of radionics. Yes, no, and numbers. Now, here we get into his interpretation of kind of these Malcolm Ray designs. Now, you've got these number of lines. As you said, Malcolm Ray used to use round. He's done it with this way. I'm not sure if he's just trying not to be as imitative or not. But that's basically what he does with notes. Now, this doesn't have any numbers or anything else in it, which is something that I object to. You really need, of course, here's colors. But all these kind of charts can be gotten in English through many different books inexpensively, so I wouldn't bother with it. So here's another one of his designs, of course, with that. He seems to like this as a basic template. And now he's got numbers inside of here. And we've got 3... 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is that 8 there? 8 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 56 numbers he has there. So, I mean, when you get into all these numbers here, and I'm not sure where those numbers came from, if they're different rates, or is that one long rate? This is what gets very problematical because now there are thousands, probably millions of rates available out there in different books. But what do they mean and how effective they are? And I can tell you that's a real big problem. All rates do not work in any machine. This is perpetrated by bozos, idiots, and the uninformed morons out there that tell you that. And it's to your own detriment. You don't get it. You know, it doesn't work for you. And then people say the technology is bad. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 20. So there's 20 numbers here. So very few machines have that many banks of dials, because if you have to dial 20 things in, unless you're a professional, it's a nightmare. But you can certainly see, again, it's the same kind of design. He has a square here, and now he's putting numbers in there, which is much better. If you don't put numbers in here and you're just using a circle or something with a little mark or here or that, or you're using just a odd design, well, there isn't enough information there to do anything. They don't work. They're not proven to work. Don't believe the lies people are telling you. So here again, we have the same kind of pattern. He's using this as a typical template. And again, what all this means, I don't know what that means unless I actually go in there and actually translate it. But again, here we go. It's pretty much that same pattern. And we have 3 6 numbers. Times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What is that? 3, 6. So 6 times 6 is 36. So the whole idea is that you have 36 numbers there. But a lot of this stuff can just be, you can photocopy this, scan it, print it out, and then you can place your photograph on it. You can put it on a machine. So, I mean, you can use these in a lot of ways. So the time and trouble to get these means you're getting a lot of specialized rates. And the numbers are important. This gives a sigil effect of empowering it to a degree. So the guy is on the right track. Of course, what I do is much more than that, using all sorts of sigils that empower in general, then inserting numbers, and then putting in actual musical, or I should say, sound tones into CDs to make a particular rate disc. This is something exclusive to Off-World Tech. But here we go again. I'm not sure. Transmuting positive energy. Probably it's transmuting negative energy into positive. And here's it. Again, if you get this book, all you've got to do is actually scan the pages and use them right on your machine. You could put this under a machine. You could put a plate like this. Once you copy this, you could put it on one of these types of things, and this will then broadcast it with your photograph on it. Where's me photos? So you could put a photo on here, or actually you'd put it on last, but you would copy this, put it on here, put this on here, and you have it. And of course, we have several different of these, and these have just come out at a new low price. These are really beautiful. They're hard. They can be put under things. They're full color, shiny. So this is basically a radionic machine, and you can put your photograph on it and then put whatever information you want to do in it. Now, these are available now at a new low cost, so everybody should grab some of those. So here we go again, and again, it's these are changing somewhat in terms of the geometric shape, but again, the key really of all this stuff is the numbers that's inside it. So there's 84 of these plus another 7 templates or sigils for different uses. So you can see they're all very much in that tradition. As he said, Malcolm Ray had circles. He uses these different designs, which I think are better because these produce more energy than a circle. A circle just holds energy in. A pyramid is going to generate energy to what's in there. So there are many, many uses here. You can see they're all very similar. What's changing is the rate itself, which we're assuming this guy is competent at getting rates. And as such, it's going to be better than you can pull yourself. And you got to understand that. You wouldn't you wouldn't be your own doctor per se. You want to go to a professional, if there is such a thing, out there to do the work for you so you get better results. And here we go again. These are another particular type of... And again, he's using just a circle. This is kind of Fibonacci with that inside. And again, this makes a lot more sense than just having a design like this and putting a mark here or there. In this day and age, that's a little bit too simplistic, and I wonder if it ever worked. I don't believe any of it. I have absolutely no proof that any of this stuff works in terms of the Malcolm Ray stuff with his very simplistic cards and his very simplistic machines that he manufactured. So we just don't know with everything else. You know, it's an interesting baby step towards a much more advanced technology. But in general, I don't believe any of it. We really need to see things. We need records and testing. And for some reason or another, these people never do that. Even when they make millions of dollars, like the Spooky 2 people, the Spooky 2 people have millions of dollars in advertising, and there's absolutely no proof that any of their stuff works. And they keep coming out with more and more machines to do something that the main machine was supposed to handle. Here's an interesting little figure here. So it's got your classical pentagram, the positive type, and each one of these has are they the same? Yeah, it has the same rate on each one of these, which is interesting, even the center. So this is kind of amplifying and so forth. And again, you would just scan that, and you would use a plate like this or one of the other ones we offer with your photograph on it, and you would be able to then send that energy to you. And, pretty much that's all that radionics is. There's no mystery to it unless you're getting into advanced radionics or scalar energies, which means you're using lasers, amplifiers, and transmitters, which is the real way to do it in the bigger picture. But people have been using simplified methods, which is really it's all about. You can be conned by buying a $12,000 machine that is really nothing in it, like Bruce Copeland did, like pretty much anybody connected to Copeland does. Certainly his machines are attractive, but for what they do and the money involved, they really are not. There's really nothing to them, even though, and of course Copeland knew this, and that's all part of the process and part of his business that he did. He understood that they were so simplistic that he'd never be able to sell machines for any kind of serious amounts of money unless he made them complicated and then sold them to doctors who have money pouring out their bottoms. So here we go, and here's some basic designs here. I mean, you could photocopy these, come up with your own rates, put them in here, etc. And then again, you can use, but you got to amplify stuff. This alone, by putting your picture on here, is not going to do anything. You need to at least have basic amplification, something like this. This is a symbolic pyramids. If you look at this, this would be like looking up a pyramid. You need something to amplify it like that. You need to then put photos on it, and if all possible, Polaroids, and then you can use the rates on top of that. So it's a cool little book. It's interesting. As I said, you can probably hunt this up somewhere, ABE, out there. Many times you can get these off of different websites, but I'm sure if you hunt this up, you can find it somewhere that you can get actually foreign books from. So this originally sold for 20 euros, about 24 US dollars. But it's always good to see any of this. Anything in this area is positive. As I said, there's a fairly healthy group of people studying alternative medicine in Italy. You just don't hear about that stuff because of the language barriers. And there's a fair amount of people apparently doing it in Central and South America. All of these people learned from the Brits. And unfortunately, the problem with that is that they're not very big thinkers, most of these people, and they haven't come up with their own systems of something bigger and better. Small minds produce small results, and that's the problem with all of this. And to slavishly follow things that go back 60, 70 years, other than using them as a guide path, is a big mistake in life. We need to move ahead, find answers, find new and stronger ways of doing things in a very toxic reality. And all of this takes the very advanced consciousness that very few people have. So I hope you've enjoyed this. More to come.